Hey there, friends, and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things Kajabi, marketing, and growing your online business. My name is Rebecca Austin. I'm a Kajabi mentor and conversion coach. And today I want to share with you a little more information inside Kajabi's coaching features so that you can leverage them and maximize them for your benefit, depending on the needs that you have as a coach using Kajabi. Now, we have a little bit of a theme going this week where we're diving into various aspects of Kajabi coaching, where if you haven't watched the previous videos, I welcome you to do so. Our last video, we talked about some outside the box thinking on how to do group coaching, so you don't want to miss that one. But today I want to focus specifically on how to set up the back end so that it leverages things for you as a coach. We want to set up the back end for you because as a coach, I don't know about you, but I know that sometimes juggling all of the different things that we have to focus on can sometimes be a little overwhelming, and we want to make sure we're leveraging the tools we have available to us so we can facilitate our job as a coach and focus more on helping our client instead of worrying about a lot of those details behind the scenes. So one of those is using the tools inside Kajabi for scheduling. And then also, if you want to use Kajabi's internal video conferencing, you can do that as well. So you don't even have to worry about a third-party solution on delivering your coaching sessions. So I'm going to share my screen and go a little bit deeper onto these details. I want to keep this short and sweet and to the point for you so that we can just jump on in and be respectful of your time. So I've already queued this up for you, essentially to get to this screen. Once you've created your coaching product, so this could be either a one-on-one coaching or a group coaching. So when you create your product for the first time, and we do have another video where we talk about how to set up your product in Kajabi. But once you have that product set up, even if you've created a product a while ago, these are some newer features within the last year or so. So you may not even be aware, if you've been using Kajabi for a while, that this is an option that you can go in and play around with. If you don't have Kajabi yet, I do highly encourage you to check it out. We have an amazing partner association with Kajabi, where as an affiliate, we can offer extended trial periods, and I throw in some amazing bonuses as well to help you get up and running quickly. So check that out in the description if you don't have your Kajabi yet. But essentially, to get to this screen, you would simply go to your products tab, click on coaching, open up the coaching products that you want to adjust, and then go to your settings tab. So the settings tab is there where we can make a few adjustments on our scheduling and then also on where we want that video conferencing and how we want that to be handled. So first of all, you can, of course, enter the title of what this is. If you want to enter coach name and coach email, you can. Description, you can. That's optional. I tend to leave this off because it's pretty much just me coaching. I have a couple coaching assistants, but generally speaking, we don't use different products for the different coaches. So I generally just leave this blank. You would upload your thumbnail. Now, this is where the magic happens. This is where we go down here into our scheduling preferences. This is then, if you click this drop down, there's several different options that you can choose from. If you already have a Calendly account and you do want to connect with Calendly, you can actually just do that directly in Kajabi and integrate the two. So Kajabi has worked pretty diligently in making that happen. You can also have a custom link. So if you have a different scheduling software that you want to send people to schedule their coaching sessions, you can use a custom link. You can also leave it as manual booking if you want to just leave it manual, where if you leave it manual, there won't be a schedule button on your coaching that your clients see. So you do need to select either Kajabi, Calendly, or custom link for them to see a schedule option. So depending on how you're using your Kajabi coaching, whether it's one-on-one or group, you may or may not want them to be able to schedule their next session. Maybe it's already set up and you're going to go in there and make sure that it's every week on such and such a date or that kind of thing. So everybody's coaching is a little different. So Kajabi makes it flexible where you can set it up the way you want it to be. If you're doing it similar to what I do, where I'm a little more flexible on when they schedule their session, they can just look at my calendar and pick a time. I have my calendar integrated. That way, then they can just go in, click the schedule now. They can see what's available. Boom, it's done. So, depending on which option you want to go with, you do have those options. So, if you go with manual, they won't see a schedule link. They would have to contact you, or you would have to manually then go in and enter when those dates and times are. Now, if you go with Kajabi, though, this is what's really cool. If you use Kajabi's built in scheduler, you now also unlock the ability to do built in live video. So you can do the drop down. Oh, if you notice, if I do Calendly, it just says Calendly event type, and then I have to connect because I've already connected my Calendly from in the past and as a demonstration from before. If you do custom link, all you're doing is just putting in your link there. But if you put Kajabi, we now have an option here for built-in live video or custom location. So if you're using Zoom or Google Meet or some other video conferencing software, you can just do custom location and then enter the location. But you can also then do built-in live video. So if you leave this as built-in live video, you'll also then say what is the duration of your meeting. And then you can set your availability. So you can customize it for this particular coaching session, or if we leave this off, it'll go with the overall settings, and I'll show you in a minute where that's located. So the nice thing is too is that you can have custom availability for that coaching product. So maybe you only want to meet with these particular coaching clients. That this is a coaching session that's specifically designed for Tuesdays or whatever. Maybe it's Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then this is when they can choose from. But your overall availability might be more, but for these clients, you want it to be something specific, then you can do that. You can actually then turn this on, and then you can set what the availability is, and then go to each date and then set what the availability is on each date. If you want it to be from, say, we want this to be from 10 to noon, and then we also want it to be from, because we want a lunch break. So then we're going to go, whoop, that's 1 a.m., not 1 p.m. I want to make sure that we're doing this. There we go. 1 p.m. Until 5 p.m. So you have that availability option that you could add sections or segments of time on each day for that specific coaching product. Then you can also set it up in what are the increments. So you can set it up that, every 30 minutes is what it's going to show on the calendar. So they could schedule at a 9 a.m., 9:30. I generally personally do 30 minutes because, 15 minutes is a little much but I do 1 hour sessions. If you're doing 15-minute sessions, and maybe you want to break that down into smaller ranges. And then how much time do you want them to be able to schedule in advance? As a good rule of thumb, I generally don't like people to schedule out too far in advance. The farther out that people schedule, the more likely they are to have a conflict or forget. So this is where then you can change what your open date range is on your calendar. So it's only going to show a certain number of weeks available. I usually keep mine about a month just because my schedule is pretty tight. And so I want to make sure that there is availability for people to schedule and go from there. Same thing here on your buffer time. If you want to have buffer time, what buffer time is that it's the time in between sessions so that you're not going back to back. So you want to give yourself 10 minutes, 30 minutes before. So when someone schedules a session, how much time is blocked off the calendar so somebody else can't schedule another session. And then minimum notice. So I made this mistake early on when I first started coaching, and I always give myself at least a 1-day notice because one time I had my day was pretty open. I had a coaching session cancel, and I was like, wow, I've got the rest of the afternoon available. So I hopped in my car and I went to town because I had some errands to run. And then I get a notification on my phone that I have a coaching call starting in 15 minutes. And I was like, well, where did that come from? My calendar was completely open, but I had my calendar minimum notice set to a smaller period of time or hadn't set it at all. and somebody had jumped on, which is awesome. It's wonderful that somebody jumped on and wanted to schedule with me right then. But unfortunately, I wasn't at my desk. So I had to quick pull over my car and then just do the appointment on the phone, which is not as professional. It's not as ideal as it would have been if I had been able to have that notice. So that's just a quick pro tip for you. Learn from my mistakes on that one. If you don't mind having a short notice, you can definitely adjust this. But from my perspective, this is always a good rule of thumb is give yourself at least 1 day's notice so that somebody doesn't just automatically just throw something on the calendar at the last minute. Then you have this option too, is that you can then turn this on where you can have then automatically upload Kajabi live recordings to sessions. So what this means then is if you have turned Kajabi on up here and you're doing a built-in live video, you can actually turn that on so that with your coaching clients, it'll automatically upload that recording as soon as the session is over. This is such a powerful tool for coaches because for so much time before I started using these features in Kajabi, I would have my sessions on something else, and then you have to wait for them to render, and then you have to upload them. And because it takes time to render, it's not available immediately. And so then I would move on to other projects, maybe have another meeting. And then you have to remember to go back and upload that so that the client gets the replay as quickly as possible. So unless you set the tone and the expectation that you have at least 24 hours before the replay will be posted, and then you have your assistant or somebody else can handle that for you as well. But even so, it's an extra step that it's another task you have to do that even though it only takes a minute, it still is time that you could be focusing on something else. And when we have all of these distractions in our business that are pulling us in different directions, what happens is we can never really get in the flow and the zone of productivity. If you're jumping from thing to thing, and this is a big thing that I see a lot when I'm working with my coaches that I struggled with for a long time because you're scheduling coaching sessions here and there and all over the place. And so you'll have a block of time where you're coaching, and then you may have a small block that's open. It's not necessarily enough time to really get in the zone to be doing marketing or to be really building your business and doing some new things. And so what happens is that you're exhausted by the end of the day and you don't feel like you've accomplished anything. So there's some time management tips that we can go deeper into on another video. But essentially, this is a huge, tiny little thing that seems insignificant, but over time it adds up and it makes your life so much easier. So from my perspective, this is a huge benefit that Kajabi has available inside its coaching. From a coaching perspective, this is one to definitely explore. So what you can do, like I said, is set your availability, turn this to built-in live video, and then set your automatically upload. And then all you have to do then is click save. Oh, gotta have our button text. I don't want an upsell. Somehow that got turned on. My apologies. All right, so then we click save. And then if you go back to your coaching in general, that was the other thing for your global settings. If you go into your coaching settings, this is where your availability sets up. And if you haven't already, under the calendar, you'll want to make sure that you integrate with your calendar. The cool thing is that you can then integrate with your Google Calendar. If you have Microsoft, Outlook, iCloud, even Calendly, you can connect these and integrate them. So what'll happen is that if someone schedules, it automatically goes on my calendar so that I don't double book. I know immediately what my schedule looks like. It just really facilitates the whole experience, both for me in the back end and for my clients for a smooth experience. So these are the global settings. And again, this is where then as a global availability, you can set these times where Sunday, I'm not available on Sunday. Monday, then this is the availability. And you can do it on a per day basis, and then you can adjust your availability. Again, same thing that we talked about on buffer time, minimum notice, all of those kind of things. But inside the program itself, if you wanted to go outside of your typical availability and be more specific, maybe you want to schedule further out. Maybe you want to have a smaller buffer time. Those are the kind of things that you can play around with and set it up individually inside each product. Now, when it's time to go live, once you have set all of this up and it's time to go live and use Kajabi's internal live, once that is scheduled, you would simply go into that client's account. And then up at the top of the session here, at the very top, you'll see where it says start session. And it's going to open a whole new window. And this is where the first time you do this, you definitely want to allow camera access. And you'll see that since I'm recording here, it has the camera preview of what we have on the screen. Since I'm on here already, you can adjust your camera. So if you wanted to adjust which camera you're using, adjust your microphone, adjust your speakers, you can test your mic to test your sound and all of those kind of things so that everything is set up and ready to go. And then you just click join. Once you click join, it's going to look pretty much the same. You've got this, because I'm sharing my screen, but I'm also recording, sharing my screen. We've got our infinity window here going, but you'll see that at the bottom, we have a chat, just like in Zoom. You have a share screen option. We have we'll cancel that. You can record. So you can start your recording. So if you are using this for coaching, you definitely want to make sure that you hit the record. Don't forget to do that. You can mute. You can see who's in the room. It's pretty similar to Zoom from that perspective. So we are going to leave this for now and then go back into our coaching. But essentially, that's it. That's the way it's set up. You just simply click at the top of the button, start session, and your client will see something fairly similar as far as, join session. So if I go into our coaching product, we'll go into that. I'll show you what it looks like from the client side. We'll just preview this. So from the client side, this is what they'll see depending on what colors and things like that you set up. But you see how it has a schedule now option right here. So if I click on schedule now, it takes us into session 1. And then there is the calendar where then we can, look at what's available and pick our time and confirm. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to actually do that, but you'll see that it's pretty straightforward. You just click on the schedule session right here. So this is what they will see when they're inside any of these sessions. They'll see a schedule session. So they can schedule out all of them if they want to and schedule out more than one session if they want to. They're not limited to just scheduling one at a time, which is kind of handy. So that is, if you don't want them to schedule multiples out, you may want to stick with the manual booking rather than letting them schedule, just from a side perspective. All right. So that is, in a nutshell, some of the tools behind the scene to help you with time management, understanding what are those settings, what's available for you inside Kajabi from a group or individual one-on-one coaching perspective. And I encourage you to just check them out, experiment with them, play with them, see what you think. What we did when we first got started is I scheduled with somebody as a practice session. So my assistant, we scheduled her as a client. Then she went through the whole process as a client so that we had a chance to practice and I could get feedback from her on how easy it was, what were some of the questions she had. Then you get a chance to practice on what it's like to run a session from inside Kajabi, where it opens up in that separate window. What does that look like? Where are the buttons and the tools? Especially if you're familiar with using Google Meet or Zoom or some other tool, it takes sometimes a little bit to get used to the new technology and what's available to you. So you could play around with that and see, depending on what type of coaching sessions, what tools that you need for your coaching sessions, and play around with that. If you have any questions about coaching inside Kajabi or coaching in general, drop them in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And if it warrants, I may even record a whole video around it to be able to answer that question if it's something a little more complex. So enjoy playing around with all of these features as a coach inside Kajabi. Play around with using the cohorts, with using the community, with using the internal tools for scheduling and for going live and using their internal video conferencing. So many different tools that are available to you, and it doesn't even cost you anything extra. It's all included in your Kajabi membership, so to speak, in your subscription. So check them out. Tell me what you think about them and what questions that you have. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to my channel, hit that bell notification. We're going to, on our next video, share a little bit of insights about A/B split testing, which is a brand new feature that Kajabi has recently come out with. So stay tuned for that one. And in the meantime, remember the key to success is to constantly be learning and growing. You're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. So keep growing, keep learning, and keep pushing forward with action. Bye for now.